Welcome to Rhino Exploration. My name is Zach. Today we are going to do a review on my thoughts, my opinions, and what I did on Easter Jeep Safari 2023. So stay tuned, guys. Welcome back to the garage, guys. So, like I said in the beginning, I just wanted to have basically a talk with y'all on my thoughts and my opinions on my first time at Easter Jeep Safari and just kind of the things I did and what I thought went really well and certain things that I thought were very different. So, let's start with, this was my first time going to Moab. It was amazing. Oh my gosh, the views everywhere and just the trails and how there's every level of trail out there and just getting to see so many different people's rigs out on the trail, got to meet so many different people. It is just a special place. Oh my goodness. Like, I understand now why they call it kind of the off-road mecca for the United States, because everybody comes there. I met people from the East Coast, the West Coast, the Northwest, the South, all over, and even got to meet some people from Canada. So that was really cool, and it just draws everybody there. So Easter Jeep Safari, one, draws a lot of people, which is really awesome. But two, Moab, what a special place, guys. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait to go back. That is a place we will be visiting more often. What's even cooler is it's only about 5 hours from the house here in Denver. So that to me is a bonus, because it's a 5-hour drive down the 70 and we're there. It's a really pleasant drive down the 70. So I think that's awesome. Now let's get into what did I do while I was out at Moab. So I hit several different trails over the course of a few days of being out there. Now I wasn't able to stay the whole Easter Jeep Safari week. Unfortunately, I had a doctor's appointment I had to come back for, but next year I've already got things in the works and in the plans, so I will be there the whole week. But while I was out there, we did chicken corners, we explored the Gemini Bridge Trail, which I understand that trail is pretty much like the main road, if you will, or the main trail that takes you back into that mesa area and the top part, and where all of the other trails like Metal Mashers, Golden Spike and things like that, it leads you to those trails that go there. But it was fun to explore that and actually go over to where the Gemini bridges actually were. We explored there. We went out to Secret Spire and explored out there, and the areas around it. Some of those trails didn't have names, they just kind of had marker numbers. And we also did the Hooray Trail and the Cane, I call it the Cane, the Cane Canyon Road Pass Trail, whatever you want to call it, that takes you out towards the Hooray Trail and Chicken Corners. We also went over and tackled a small section of Fins and Things, went up to the National Forest over there, and we just had such a fun time, guys. Oh my goodness, and when I say we had such a fun time, it was me, because I brought you all with me, and it was just me. So, like I said before, we is a French guy that nobody knows, and he's always with us. So, hey, or lady, whichever one you want to point it at. It goes either way. So, sidetracked, back on track. So we had a lot of fun. So on the first day or so there, we camped off just off of the Gemini Bridge Trail. There were some already designated campsites that were more dispersed. And we stayed back in one of the canyons, and it was gorgeous, guys. That view in the morning when that sun came up, and even when I got there, the sunset with the snow falling, oh my goodness, it was so pretty, and it was so quiet. Minus the dude that showed up at 1 or 2 in the morning and made a hell of a noise and then disappeared. I don't know. And then in that first day we explored and we went over towards the Gemini bridges. We came down the very front part of Metal Masher, which is just like the trail that leads you to the Metal Masher trail. So I counted as we went down the very front part because I passed that middle masher sign. But we did that. Then we headed over to, you know, the Hooray Trail that takes you out towards Chicken Corners, and my goodness, guys, the breathtaking views. Oh my goodness, if I had a drone, it would have been up in the air so much. It was such a pretty trail and so many amazing, just, you could see for miles kind of views, and it was great. And that same day, you know, it took us about 4 hours to get to the end of Chicken Corners because I was filming. It took us a little longer. Like I kind of said, I had people pass me going out, and they passed me and I was still going out. So it was a lot of fun. And then we ended up camping out there, just, you know, on the curve of Chicken Corners. And it was amazing. Oh my God, I love that spot. That is one of my favorite camp places in the world right now because it was just me out there. And once I set up camp, all I saw was 2 groups of people go by and leave, and then it was just me. And the skies were gorgeous, the views of the sunset, and just, I had such a peaceful night of sleep out there. Yeah. And then the next morning we got up, left Chicken Corners to pick up a registration for the ride that we did Sunday, the Cedar Spire. And just that ability to be the first person to drive on the trail in the morning was such a special thing in my heart. Oh my goodness. I saw not a soul going back, and I love the fact that I saw nobody, and I just got to experience the quietness with the cool air and hearing the Jeep go along the trail and just seeing the sunrise. Oh, I'm in heaven, guys. I'm having flashbacks to this. This is great. I love that trail. Then we went over to the Sand Flats recreation area, and we ended up tackling a small portion of fins and things, which was really fun. If it wouldn't have been for the Easter Jeep Safari having a ride take place on that trail that day, I would have continued to do fins and things. But since they were coming through, they kind of have some restrictions on the trails a little bit, just because they want to make sure that, you know, their 20+ rig convoy can get through that trail without being held up by other people besides themselves. So we got to a point and we had to exit the trail, which is okay. I had a lot of fun still. So that is one trail that I plan to conquer when we go back to Moab, is fins and things and a couple other of the harder rated trails. So as you guys probably noticed from some of the videos already, that I didn't exactly hit some of the super harder trails or things rated higher, just because honestly I was by myself. It wasn't because I didn't have faith in the Jeep. It was mostly because I was by myself, and if something would have happened, though there were tons of people everywhere, it's not the same as if you have other people in your group wheeling with you, and if something happens you have other forms of help. It was just me. So, and being my first time, I wanted to explore, see what Moab was all about, and just play it more on the safe side. Next time I go, I'm definitely going to be going with a group of people and hitting some of those harder trails, because my goodness, I was watching rigs do some of these trails and just itching to wanting to do them. But I didn't want to get to that point where something happened, I was stranded by myself, hoping that, you know, somebody coming by would be helpful enough to help me. I'm not saying I have any doubts that people wouldn't help, but it's just not the same, like I said. So after fins and things, we went up into the National Forest. The Sand Flats area takes you up into the National Forest, and boy, that was a mud pit. It was so muddy up there. The snow was still melting. There were trails I had marked on Onyx Hawk Road, which is not a sponsor of the channel. But I had trails marked and like campsites I wanted to go check out because I thought they would be a good area for camping.
So
and I couldn't even
there is the trail.
Like there was snowbanks blocking trails, or trails that were just covered in 6 feet of snow. I kid you not. I got out of the Jeep, stood next to a snowbank that was supposed to be the head of a trail to drive down, and it was taller than me.
A trail, because holy crap. That was actually one of the trails we were supposed to go check out. We're not going to be doing that.
So it was quite snowy still up there, and it was melting because it was like 60, high 50s, low 60s in Moab while I was there. So the trail was just a mud slosh. Oh my goodness, it was fun. But after a while of driving on the trail, I realized it wasn't going to get any better. So I ended up turning around, coming back, and we had some more fun. So once we got back to the Sand Flats area, I had lunch, and then we went out towards Secret Spire. Now, I didn't go to Secret Spire. That was what we did with the actual Easter Jeep Safari like trail ride that I had scheduled, but we explored that area out there, and a lot of those trails did not have names. They just had number markers. So we followed a few of them, and one of which I swear was for side-by-sides, but we sure as hell got down it. But it was a few tight little areas where the Jeep really didn't fit. We had a couple like 3-point turns in some areas because there was, unless you had a 2-door Jeep, I guarantee you in a 2-door Jeep you could have made the turn, but in the 4-door I had to back up, and if it would have been a Gladiator it would have been probably a little worse because it was even longer wheelbase. But it was a lot of fun. It was a little frustrating, I'll be honest with you, because we hit certain points and either the trail ended suddenly, we got to a point that because I don't have, the Jeep is stock, so we don't have a lift, higher clearance, bigger tires. I found some obstacles that I could have, even trying to winch it up, it wouldn't have gone up very well. So we had to turn around, find some other trails, and then I did find a trail that was just completely covered in cacti. Like everywhere, on the trail, off to the side, and I came to a stop before I even hit that area, and I guess the trail hadn't been driven in a very, very long time by anybody because these things were just wild everywhere. And I'm sorry, not gonna sacrifice tires over some cacti and trying to see what's down the trail. But we had a lot of fun. Then we had to find camp, and it was a windy night that night. That third night in Moab was very, very windy, and we ended up back at the same campsite. Though my goal was to go to different sites every night, it didn't quite happen because a lot of the sites I had picked were up on the top of some of the plateau areas and had amazing epic views of, one had one of Moab, of the Arches National Park, of further back towards the Gemini Bridge Trail or some of the other areas, and I just couldn't camp on them, guys. It was so windy. It was unreal. And when I came down into the canyon, because at that point I'd been driving for over 12 hours since waking up, I was so tired, and I kind of just said, let's go see. I didn't expect anyone, like any of those sites to be open, and when we got in there, I was looking for a different one. All of them were taken except for that one. So we camped back at the same spot as the first night, and honestly, I'm glad we did. The wind was still strong, but it was nothing like it was, and towards the evening, as the wind kept whipping by up top, because I could hear it and see it, the trees up top moving, it was very calm and kind of, just rustles of wind that were hitting us down there, and I slept great that night. Like, it was perfect, and I'm very glad we did that. The next day, we had our trail ride with the Easter Jeep Safari with that local 4-wheel drive club, and it was fun. I met tons of people on that ride, and we had what was supposed to be like 24 rigs, ended up being 39 rigs, and that includes the local Jeep club's trail leaders that were part of the ride. Oh my goodness, it was a lot of fun. It was definitely like 70 something miles off altogether. We had lots of it off trail, and it was a lot of fun. So many people had so many built out rigs, and you could tell they were on it for the scenic adventure, and it was super pretty. And there were some really good technical spots that we tapped the skid plates on the Jeep a few times, and it was great. And it was just learning the capabilities of me and the Jeep, and learning how to pick my lines better and not follow the dude in front of me, because the dude in front of me had like the Mopar 2.5 inch or 2 inch lift or whatever it is, so he could choose some certain other lines that I couldn't. But I got to meet some incredible people, and getting to hang out with Craig. He was one of the guys I met, and he was from British Columbia, and he was rocking his Bronco during it. The Broncos are pretty sweet. It was built ready to go. He has a first edition with the Sasquatch package. That thing was built and ready, and it was really cool to see cruising on the trail along with some of the others, because there was also a 392 that was behind him. That baby was built for some expeditions. Let me tell you, it was pretty, but I guarantee you that thing drinks fuel like crazy. I asked them, and they get maybe 10 miles to the gallon most days. I was like, y'all better have some gas cans. But it was super cool. I think I do have some footage of that you guys will have seen. The one knock I do have, though, and I'll just kind of, as we go, talk about something. The one knock that I do have about that trail ride is it was slow as all get out. And when I mean slow, y'all, we were barely hitting 5 miles an hour. Sometimes we were less than that. Other times we got maybe a hair faster, but it was a slow crawl, and it just took a long time. It was fun, but after a while you got tired of crawling at 5 miles an hour. And I get why they did it, because there was 39 rigs. You want to make sure all 39 rigs are doing okay, getting through. But it was just slow. That's all I can say. I get the safety reasons behind it, but it was dumb slow. And that was my biggest knock for that day, was just how slow it was. And the stopping. We had probably like 7-8 stops on this trail. And I think we could have gotten by with like 3, maybe 4 out of those 8 stops, but I think 3 would have done it, because there were 3 super scenic views, which were great, and the rest were like, we were stopping because people were just taking so long, because there were some, I think, very new off-roaders, which I'm so happy they're out there and having a blast, but we did have to wait for them, and there was one point we waited almost 30 minutes for all 39 rigs to catch up, and we really don't know why. The other knock I do have is they still use CBs. I get lots of people still use CB radios, but a good majority of the community has moved to GMRS, and that's what I had, and that's what like 90% of us in that convoy had were GMRS. And most people that either had a CB was some kind of handheld. The only people that had hardwired CBs were actual trail leaders. So it got a little confusing when we'd stop, because we wouldn't understand why, because they're communicating via CB radio, and we're like, well, most of us don't have CB, so what are we supposed to do? So it was a little confusing. And then the rest of that day, literally, I went into town, had some food, and just kind of relaxed, and ended up staying at an actual like camp, an actual like designated camping area. And I paid a little bit of money, and the reason for that was I had been out there for like 5 days and wanted a shower, because I was really dirty and dusty and everything. So I had a shower the next day. As y'all heard in the videos, I just went exploring, honestly, and I went and explored the Rimrocker Trail a little bit and had some fun doing that. I went over and explored where Golden Spike was, like where the starts of those trails are, so I have an understanding. And I went into Arches National Park and got to, I did a little bit of exploring there. I just kind of did it like we did the second day, where I just kind of chose random spots and explored for the sole purpose of, when we go back, I have a list of trails now that I want to hit. And that whole goal of going back is just going to be hitting those trails. The whole goal of this trip was to see Moab, explore, enjoy Easter Jeep Safari, see what it's all about, because you hear about it for all these years, and you always see other people like Trail Recon, Ozark Overland Adventures, The Story Till Now, some of those big name in the Overland community. You see their videos on Moab or Easter Jeep Safari, and you're just, You know, you kind of want a piece of it. And being in Hawaii for 4 years, you're like itching to go. You're like, I just want to go. But Jeeps don't float very well over the water. I can't drive it across the ocean to get there. So now being back in the mainland, having that opportunity to go, and it being 5 hours away, 5 hours. Oh my goodness, it's just like, it was meant to be. So I had so much fun and got to meet so many cool people. So that is my take on the whole adventure. Like, I got to go to some of the expo at Easter Jeep Safari. I didn't get to go to all of it like I wanted to, but I did get to explore some of it, and it was really cool. I can't wait to actually go and explore the whole thing, but I want to be able to go with other people, having people in my party so it's not just me, because it did get a little lonely out there after, 3 days of being by yourself. Yeah, you meet people, but you just kind of by yourself. You start missing talking to other people and having the ability to share your adventures and the day around the campfire with those people. So next time we go, we definitely will have people. And when we go back next year, I do plan to go back to Easter Jeep Safari next year. We will hit some more of the trails and just get to enjoy the expo. I really thought that expo was really cool. It wasn't anything like the Overland expos, but it was close. And I enjoyed it because you just got to see some of the concept rigs that Jeep had out there and things like that. And it was really cool to see. So that's it for this video, guys. I just wanted to share my thoughts and my opinions and just my takeaway from this past trip that we did to Moab and share it with you guys. I had an absolutely awesome time, and because I know so many people out there have been to Moab. If you guys have any trail recommendations besides the big name ones that are there, go ahead, leave them in the comment section below. I would love to hear what your guys' kind of your go-to trails, or what you guys like to do when you're in Moab, because like I said, this is all my first time. We will definitely be going back, and I would love to go and be able to hit those spots. If you guys would like and subscribe, that would be great. We do have a goal on this channel to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and your guys' help helps us get to our goal, and we deeply appreciate it because this channel is growing and we are having tons of fun. And the more people that we get to, engage with, the more exciting it is for everybody, because then we start building the community. So if you guys could go ahead and subscribe, we greatly appreciate it. If you guys have not been here before, go check out some of our other videos. We have lots of cool content and lots of content coming. If you're returning, thank you for returning. You guys can go ahead and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and on Patreon if you guys would like to help support me and my adventures and getting to see more of what I do and being able to help support that and be involved. Go ahead, go over the Patreon. Links are in the description to all of our sites. Go ahead, check us out on Patreon. Your support is greatly appreciated. It helps us be able to get out there. You do get things for being a Patreon member. You get more exclusive content. You do get waypoints and campsites that I use. I do put more, kind of behind the scenes posts up there about what I'm doing. And eventually later on, once we get more people involved, or we get more people supporting us, we will start having, every so often we will have a weekend Overland get together where we will camp, go for trail rides, have just a really fun time and get to meet each other and, be part of the community, get to know the community more. So if you guys would like to support us, like I said, we greatly appreciate it, and I will see you all next time.